Alright, so yesterday we got the Honkai Star Rail version 3.0 live stream, which had a bunch of info about Amphorius. It had some yapping as usual, and it also had some good information about the upcoming two limited characters, being the Herta and Aglaea. So today, I want to take a look at just these two characters here. I know there's a lot about like the reruns that everyone's talking about, with how many banners we have. That's going to be a whole separate topic for another video for me probably, so I do just want to focus in on the Herta and Aglaea today, going over the bit about them that we know from the live stream and giving my overall thoughts on their value and how much I think players should end up, wanting to pull for them, or if they might want to go for other options. So starting out with the Herta here, she is an Ice Erudition character, and she is going to work just as like a basic like crit DPS Erudition kind of character. No like insanely unique mechanics on her, but I do think she is still going to be very good. So just like the 4-star Herta, her basic attack really just shouldn't be used. It only hits one enemy and doesn't really play into her being an Erudition character, so you're not going to get nearly as much value out of it. But then for the Herta skill, as opposed to her just having just like a simple like AoE kind of attack like a lot of Erudition characters do, her skill will have 3 total hits. You will pick a main target, and hit 1 is going to hit just the main target. Hit 2 is going to work like a blast attack where you hit the main target and adjacent targets. And then the final hit of the skill is going to hit the main target, the adjacent targets, and then the enemies next to those adjacent targets, which does end up just being an AoE hit in general. So that is going to actually be pretty solid to get some extra damage on one big enemy, like a boss enemy, and then also being able to damage their adds as well. Then for her ultimate, she does an AoE attack, and upon using this ultimate, she is also going to advance her action by 100%, and this also seems from the livestream footage to enhance her next skill as well, which we'll go over the enhanced skill in a bit. And any stacks of interpretation that the Herta had on enemies will be redistributed to prioritize boss characters, and we're going to get into interpretation stacks right now here because it is one of the Herta's main mechanics. So these interpretation stacks will increase the amount of damage taken by the enemy, and each enemy can hold up to 42 stacks of interpretation. These stacks can be applied from what we know from allies' attacks, so having allies who can attack not just a bunch of enemies but attack in rapid succession, you're going to be able to get a bunch of these interpretation stacks. The Herta also works like Acheron in the fact of if you run her alongside other Erudition characters, you're going to receive damage buffs for that as well, very similar to how Acheron does with Nihility characters. So the Herta's going to probably work really well with pretty much any Erudition character alongside her, especially the ones who can attack a lot or have like follow-up attacks as well. So that is also going to be very good for her. Now, to circle back for the enhanced skill, a lot of it works the same as the regular skill where it has the 3 different hits, but then after the 3rd hit, you're going to deal an additional AoE attack, which will remove all of the stacks of interpretation from the main target. So you will have to, in one sense, you will have to start building up stacks again, but if you remove the stacks from the main boss, the next time you use the ultimate, you're going to be able to redistribute stacks back to that boss. So it really isn't that crazy. It honestly, for me, it more so feels like a way to not max out your interpretation stacks if a fight is even going to last that long. So plus you're probably going to get more damage from the enhanced skill as well, so it does end up being worth it overall. Then lastly, for the Herta's kit, her technique is pretty much just a quality of life kind of technique. In the overworld, it's going to be able to mark any basic treasures on the map for you, which is going to be really nice for just getting exploration done and getting a very small amount of extra stellar jades. But then if you're in Simulator Divergent Universe, using the Herta's technique will deal a set amount of damage to enemies at the start of battle. So technique there very much a quality of life exploration kind of thing, and much less like a super good technique for battle. But it doesn't hurt for her, honestly, because having quality of life stuff every now and again is very helpful. So that is what we know about Herta's kit right now. So to give my overall thoughts, I think that she's going to be amazing for Pure Fiction, and not just amazing, I think she's going to be probably the best pure fiction character for a long time, especially with the new format, with the way there's going to be one big enemy usually in the middle, and then you have the like elite and smaller enemies on like the sides. But maybe not elite, you have like the regular enemies on the sides, so you can use the big enemy in the middle as the main target. So that's gonna be really good for her to get a bunch of damage in. But I do also think she'll probably be solid in other game modes depending on how much damage she is going to be able to do. But considering the fact that not only does she have similar mechanics as Acheron with the running characters on the same path on the team, but also her being an emanator herself, I think that the Herta is just going to be solid all around, but I don't think she's going to be super game breaking like some other characters are. I think she's going to be really good for pure fiction, but it's just going to be solid all around for the other endgame modes. So overall for the Herta, I think that if you need another DPS character, or if you're like really struggling for pure fiction, she could be a very solid pickup. But if you're not really struggling with like pure fiction, or you have a good amount of DPS characters already, then she's not a must pull, but she is going to be good nonetheless. Alright, so next up we have Aglaea. And Aglaea is a lightning character on the Remembrance path, and our first Remembrance limited 5-star, which is pretty big as well. Like, I know we're also getting the Remembrance Trailblazer as another Remembrance character, but this is our first 5-star character for limited ones, which is pretty cool. And for her kit, she is more of a DPS style character. She has her summon, the Garment Maker, and she is pretty unique as well because it seems like she does scale off of speed, and she gets more speed as her and the Garment Maker take more actions. So let's start out here with her basic attack. You just damage a single enemy. You are going to be using this probably a decent amount, as long as the Garment Maker itself doesn't take too much damage, because her skill, rather than being an attack, it is more of like a support / way to summon the Garment Maker, because if the Garment Maker is not on the field, you're going to summon it. But if it is on the field, you're going to be able to heal the Garment Maker, which is really nice to be able that Aglaea can be, self-sufficient in keeping the Garment Maker alive, in addition to just being able to deal a bunch of damage with it. So that is really good there. Then for Aglaea's ultimate, her speed will increase and will also enhance her basic attack, which her basic attack is going to be probably her biggest burst of damage, because it's going to be a combined attack of Aglaea and the Garment Maker, which will also increase the Garment Maker's speed as well. So the enhanced basic is going to be a pretty nice burst of damage there. Then lastly, for Aglaea's talent, which, because they didn't talk about her technique, so the talent is the last piece of info we have. So Aglaea's attacks will leave a mark on enemies, and when Garment Maker appears on the action order, the Garment Maker will attack these marked enemies. And whenever these enemies are attacked by the Garment Maker, they will also get extra speed. So there's a ton of ways that both the Garment Maker and Aglaea are getting extra speed, which should lead in damage ramping up for them pretty quickly, which is really good. So yeah, that's everything for Aglaea's kit. So now to talk about her overall value, I think that she's probably going to be pretty solid, considering that she is going to be a just generally like crit and speed based DPS, which I think is very unique that it's just stacking on speed. We don't have the specifics of how the speed scaling works yet. We'll probably get that once we get her full kit details, like a week before she comes out with early access. So we'll have to talk about that when that happens. But I do think that she's overall going to be a great pickup for people if you just need another DPS and you aren't, if you're not vibing with the Herta or any of the rerun characters, or B, if you really want to go into the summon meta, or just have the summon archetype on your account, because right now, with us seeing the drip marketing for 3.1, there are not any Remembrance characters coming out. So Aglaea is going to be the only limited Remembrance character for a little while here. And of course, we don't know what's going to come out after 3.1 and who, how many Remembrance characters we could end up getting. So if you do want to, get more experience with it or just have that team ready, especially if you pulled for Sunday and you plan to use Remembrance Trailblazer, I think Aglaea should be a pretty solid character to pick up overall. But if you're not really leaning into the summon archetype as much, or if you're just solid on DPSs and you're not worrying about them, then other characters that are running during 3.0 will probably just be better options for you overall. But in the end, I do think that we have a pretty solid version here in terms of the characters available. Like I said earlier, I'm gonna make a separate video talking about the whole rerun banner thing and giving my overall thoughts, because it kind of has been a pretty big discussion with the community ever since the live stream yesterday. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about the Herta and Aglaea and just 3.0 in general. You can let me know down in the comments below. But I'm going to end it off here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed and want to see more content from me, you can hit that subscribe button. But with that, I will see you all next time.